I am Geoffrey in the Kingdom of Sweden campaign from the 1648 mod for Medieval 2 Total War Kingdoms by Infract. Before we continue, I should say something about this conversation between Duke Christian of Brunswick-Wolfenbüttel, the Mad Halberstädter, and the King of Sweden. Duke Christian says, "Let me crush your enemies."
Let this Rhinelander crush your enemies.
To which Gustavus Adolphus agrees.
Yes.
And the Mad Duke rejoices.
The Ausländer scum shall fall before us.
The foreign scum shall fall before us. That's the spirit. We are off to the east for this episode. Our Colonel Blasius to Solms-Braunfels has marched through Kulmerland in search for some rebels under a certain Captain Daniel. The rebels have greater numbers, but our force is superior in quality. So here is the rebel army, a mixed bag of units. And here's our glorious general, who is smart and loyal, Blasius to Solms-Braunfels, as well as a colonel of cavalry, can tell a tale, that's good. He's severe and mostly rational, feels appreciated after defeating other rebels, so off to Kulmerland. And here is our general. He's leaving one of his estates in this part of Prussia, looking glorious with his bodyguard. Here he is. And the rebels are already in this neighborhood. As he rides into the sunset. And our men have deployed and have opened fire at the rebels who are at the bottom of the hill, and they have not yet made up their mind whether to advance against us or not. Some of the enemy are firing at our men. We have deployed our musketeers in the center. There are some pre-reformed musketeers, and some mercenary musketeers here, and late post-reformed pikemen on the flanks. Here is our general, and he makes up his mind to charge down the hill and teach the rebels a lesson. Some rebel X-men counter-charge our general's bodyguard here, and our general gets caught in the melee. Fortunately, he manages to pull out without suffering too many casualties. The enemy melee units are now advancing towards our men up the hill, and our pikemen advance down the hill to meet them in battle. And a nice battle ensues. As the sun is going down, the knight will find only one victor on the field of battle. So some enemy halberdiers are involved in a fight with our pikemen on the side. And more pikemen on the other side have routed these turncoats armed with pole arms. So here is the other side where the other block of pikes is fighting against the halberdiers.
The enemy are badly bloodied. They have lost half their
We
men.
have clearly gained the upper hand in this battle, and our general is chasing down the routed turncoats. Presumably unpaid mercenaries who have no longer money to buy new pikes. Here's again our glorious general. And having taken prisoner most of the turncoats, our general turns his attention on these routed halberdiers. And in doing so, he passes by the position where the enemy general, the enemy rebel, is located.
Good tidings. The enemy general lies dead. We've sent the base cur to hell. Behold how our cowardly foe runs. It's time to press the attack.
And the enemy rebel leader has been slain by a bullet. Captain Daniel has been slain. He's dead on the field of battle, and the enemy now is practically in full retreat. So let's just admire these beautiful scenes in this beautiful forest as the sun is going down and the sky is lit with its beautiful sunset colors. Here's the general's bodyguard. They've taken the halberdiers prisoner, and now they're off to deal with the enemy arquebusiers that were with the enemy general. There are still a few halberdiers around. So a few more rebels are running around being shot at by our musketeers, and our general heads their way. There they are, running for their lives. The beauty of medieval II total war.
This is a clear victory that goes to only men of great virtue and valor.
The rebels have been defeated, and glorious victory is ours thanks to the ferocity of our general, whose bodyguard took half the enemy army prisoner.
Glorious victory is ours, sire.
Let us next move to Wohlau, also in the east, in what is today Poland. Wohlau has come under siege, as you may remember, by an Austrian army, an imperialist army under a general called Johann Sylvio.
I throw down the gauntlet to you. Accept my challenge.
The garrison of Wohlau has a good mix of post-reform pikemen, musketeers and cavalry, commanded by Johann-Kasimir von Santes. An additional troop of cavalry arrives from Lissa to help us out under Captain Ake. The enemy general has hired a mercenary force with many good units but no cavalry, perfect in every respect for a siege. So here is the enemy army of Johann Sylvio, what we can glean of it. The enemy has a massive superiority in numbers. He has 4 companies of musketeers, 4 companies of dragoons, and the siege of Wohlau is upon us. Here is the garrison on the walls. Captain Ake is coming to our aid with a troop of arquebusiers. Here is the rest of the garrison sallying out. Our cavalry, our pikemen, and our grenadiers. You can see the enemy general's bodyguard behind a block of pikes in the distance, and the rest of the units looking very glorious, marching in front of us. In a slightly disorganized way. So here are the musketeers on the walls. Some of our musketeers have opened fire at the imperialists. So they fire at them whenever they dare come within musket range, within musket shot. They have encamped on the top of this hill. Here they are. So it looks like one of their troops of dragoons have approached a little too close to the walls, and they've lost about a dozen men from musket shot coming from the walls. And some pikemen here. Here's their drummer, and the ensign is coming up, and their captain with his partisan behind them. Here are some more enemy dragoons. They can't make up their mind whether to skirmish towards the sally out or to fall back. They've been hit by mortar fire.
We are being attacked.
And the landscape begins to look like Mordor. They're also being hit by cannon shot. By the cannon on the walls, they've been hit by musket shot. Here's our general at the other end of this area of plowed fields. He's opened fire at the enemy dragoons from the distance. He's out of range of their muskets and arquebuses. And some enemy units are trying to decide whether to skirmish towards our general or stay safely out of range of the walls. They've gone for the latter option. They've deployed back on this hill. These units here are still within range of our musketeers on the walls. Their ensign has been shot. They've gone to meet his maker. And it seems their commander is urging them to do something, but they're not doing it. He's probably urging them to skirmish and fire at the general, at our general, but they can't make up their mind. A case of insubordination. This was real war. These were mercenary musketeers. It's not like in the movies where people do whatever you tell them to. And so you've seen here now again our general's bodyguard is skirmishing closer to tempt the enemy musketeers and dragoons to skirmish forward so that they come under fire from the musketeers on the walls and from the cannon. The cannon on the walls are firing some cannonballs. They're flying in this direction. Our general is now about to charge a group of enemy musketeers that have been broken. And the skirmishing away, seeing that pikemen were nearby. A couple of musketeers have survived and they're running for their lives. So more enemy musketeers here. They don't dare to come too close to our general. They have sensed there's a game of cat and mouse on. Here's our general on this hill. He is trying to tempt the enemy to skirmish forward. So here he is looking very glorious on his horse behind his ensign, Johann-Kasimir von Santes. He is sniping at the enemy army to make them do something. The enemy dragoons, however, they are not convinced. They would rather move away rather than towards him, and so they're running off to the other side, so they stop being shot by his bodyguard. These musketeers, however, ran towards him. Perhaps they have decided to skirmish him. And they come under fire from the walls. Now they're dropping like flies. They decide this is not a good place. They've come under shot, under musket shot. They're within the musket shot range from the walls. Also cannon shot hitting. They're flying past. One guy there has been injured, he's getting up.
For our empire!
More men have been injured, some have been killed. This guy's getting up.
Get over here!
Their captain is moving to the rear. These men seem determined to hold their ground. So you can see some more horsemen now. These are arquebusiers. A troop of arquebusiers is moving in this way to try and provoke our enemy to make a move. The enemy pikemen wisely hold their position on the top of the hill and they don't move forward. So here's the rest of that troop of arquebusiers. They've started firing at the sides of this block of pikes here. The pikemen take it but don't make a move. Mortars, they're firing at any unit that dares to approach. A group of enemy dragoons have come a little too close to the walls. They are being hit by mortar shells. At the spirit of the war, explosive shells have been invented for mortars especially, almost exclusively, and they could explode high in the air or behind enemy lines. And they were used in sieges, for example. So this group of enemy dragoons has been murdered. Not a single man has survived. More enemy musketeers here. They make the mistake to skirmish forward and they're about to come under fire. Here you can see some cannon shells are already landing. One landed amongst them. It killed 2 men. They try to redeploy. It doesn't help because this part of the hillside is exposed to cannon shot from the Starfort walls. You can see here the musket, the cannon shot landing, and they're also being hit by musket shot. Here are the melee units of the Austrian army. They are higher up on the hill, so they're less affected by all that fire. Here this captain is urging again these men to do something, presumably to skirmish forward. Wisely his men are refusing to skirmish forward. However, these more foolish turncoats have decided to charge up this way at our units that have sallied out. Here we have pikemen and cavalry, as well as a company of grenadiers. And here you can see some of our cavalry is firing at them as they are emerging from behind the hill. Our general is falling back, and these turncoats are about to charge over this plowed up fields towards our cavalry at the far end. They are being hit by Blasius.
Good tidings. The enemy general lies dead. We've sent the base cur to hell.
The enemy general has been slain.
For the moment, the fortune of battle goes our way. Let's pray it remains as such.
Johann Sylvio, the enemy general, is dead, and his men, hearing that his general is dead, are abandoning the battle. They're running off. Some enemy pikemen still are approaching. These ones have decided to move away. There is confusion in the enemy lines. They're moving back and forth now. Their general is dead at the least opportune moment, just as they were launching their attack. Here are grenadiers together with this block of pikes. There they are, and they're ordered to surprise the approaching enemy pikemen. But the enemy pikemen move away, and so they take position again at the back of this tertiary. So here the enemy pikemen, in fact, rather than move away, they head in the direction of the grenadiers. So the grenadiers are ordered again to attack them with grenades, surprise them. There's another group of pikemen advancing towards our pikemen. They're in the distance. Our cavalry, our arquebusiers, are ordered to skirmish them. And there's some real fighting now. There are cannon shots. These men here have been routed. They were not pikemen, I think. They were turncoats. And these pikemen there have been routed by the grenadiers. And so the enemy attack on our sally out has failed. The Imperialists attempt a second attack. Here are some turncoats. They turn away as soon as they see our men. They've lost their spirit. These pikemen, for the time being, march onward. They are being slaughtered by harquebus fire, by musket shot from the walls, by cannon shot. And the enemy is now practically defeated. Our general is taking prisoners. He's chasing this group of turncoats.
Only half the enemy force remains. The battle is very much in our favor. If we remain true and steadfast, victory will be ours.
In the distance, some enemy pikemen are also fleeing the field of battle. There is a group of pikemen here and some musketeers. I think they're skirmishing forward, but the rest of the enemy army has been crushed. That small unit of pikemen, the depleted unit, has also been routed. Here you see them. Our general turns his attention towards them. There are more pikemen on this side. They've also been routed. The enemy is almost in full rout. There are a couple of units still in good order. These turncoats were charging our cavalry and pikemen, but they have now changed their mind. They are fleeing the field of battle. And now our general has caught up with them and taken prisoners.
Attack! The battle is very much in our favor. If we remain true and steadfast, victory will be ours.
And that is practically the battle. Our enemy started well, refusing to engage. They came a little bit too close to the wall, especially some of their musketeers and dragoons. But eventually they were tempted to attack the sallies, and their army was destroyed. So the Imperialists have suffered another crushing defeat. And the month of August is only halfway through. There are still more battles this month, and the summer of 1631 has taken up more episodes than the rest of the campaign. So here's another enemy unit. The last few men in that unit, a drummer and a captain, have been slain. Our general is taking prisoners. So we only need to take 5 more settlements to achieve victory. 2 of these settlements are held by our allies, so we simply have to buy them from our allies, which means you only actually need to besiege and take 3 enemy settlements to win the campaign. Our enemy is no longer resisting, they are running for their lives. And our general is taken prisoners.
The enemy are utterly vanquished. This is a great victory worthy of only the mightiest of generals.
Glorious victory! Johann-Kasimir von Santes has achieved a remarkable victory at the loss of only 20 men. One of the musketeer units firing from the walls killed 1,200 of the enemy. The Imperialists lift the siege of Wohlau and do not ransom the prisoners who are drafted into the garrison of Wohlau. Thank you for watching.